Good day and welcome to my channel. I'm Skybridge. South Africa's war on drugs just took a sinister turn. Lieutenant General Mkwanazi has dropped explosive testimony alleging that drug cartels have infiltrated the criminal justice system and that former police minister Bheki Cele may have helped shield them. From secret payments to political events to the disbanding of a task team that was closing in on a drug-linked criminal network, Mkwanazi says the rot runs deep. And Cele? He's accused of protecting a syndicate that includes cops, prosecutors, and even judges. Is this the moment South Africa confronts its narco-state reality?
He now suddenly wants Kumalo to work with him. So it was just a strange call. I then contacted Gerald Kumar. He's a major general. I phoned Gerald Kumar and said, Gerald Kumalo, this is a request I received from Gerald Cele. Gerald Kumalo just laughed and he said, well, don't worry, the general is not serious about that. So I asked him, what do you mean? He said, no, he's not serious. He wants me to back off on the case against Khan, General Khan from Crime Intelligence. So Cele is pursuing Kumalo to resign from the police so that he can stay away from the dismissal case because he was appointed to deal with that case against, departmentally, against General Khan. So Kumalo says, no, this is the approach of Cele to want me to back off. And that got me so upset, commissioners, that can really Gerald Cele go to the extent of wanting a person to resign from the service because he wants to protect someone? It was very strange. I did not talk to Gerald Cele from the day. I did not talk to him. I was very upset. It disappointed me as a person who's a former minister in the police. I was just upset. Fast forward, commissioners, the police have got two disciplinary processes. It's what's called expeditious, and the other one's a normal disciplinary process. Expeditious, you basically, in short, I could say, we're already saying to you, you are guilty of an offense. Come before a presiding officer to explain why you say you're not guilty, in a way. But in a normal process, the employer must present the allegations, and you have a chance to cross-examine witnesses and argue a case. And then you have a presiding officer that must decide. So the initial disciplinary procedure that was initiated for Gerald Khan on that interference with the drug in Johannesburg was that of an expeditious process. So Kumalo was then appointed as a person who's going to preside over that. And Major Gerald Khan approached the court granted, they overturned that and they say, no, we must go to a normal disciplinary hearing where he has a right to be represented and bring witnesses and question the witnesses and so forth. And therefore, there must be presiding officer appointed. Then Gerald Kumalo, the Divisional Commissioner of Crime Intelligence, approached me and he asked me to be a presiding officer. I then agreed. Shortly after agreeing to be presiding officer, not long after that, I started getting this communication from Mr. Mkhwanazi. But at that time, I'm not understanding as to what this communication, what is the background of this communication. But he started communicating these things to me. That's why he throws Gerald Khan's name in it. And later, I think, I cannot remember exact date, I think it will have been the beginning of the year, I received an inquiry. Actually, I received a phone call from the very same journalist, Mzilazo Africa. His call was, you remember the story I asked you about of what happened in Bangin? I said, yes. He said, but my colleague has just approached me, confronted me about that story and is asking him, why didn't he publish the story? And he said, no, but there was no story there. I listened to this thing and it just didn't make sense. Somebody is trying to peddle and frame Jerome Mkwanazi for nothing, so I didn't publish this. And in his own words to me, Mzilazo Africa was, this colleague of his says to him, now I'm forced to publish the story. And Mzilazo found it strange, so he called me first. He said, hey, who did you upset somewhere in the police? Then I said, no, I don't know anything. They said, but is anything happening in the police that will lead people to want to publish this thing that is a year later, so old, they want to publish? Then I said, well, the only thing I know is that I'm going to be presiding over a disciplinary case. So he asked me, whose disciplinary case is that? I told him it's for Gerald Khan. He said, oh, no, now I connect the dots. Because my colleague and Gerald Khan are close. It could be coming from there. That is his words. Mzilikazi will come here and say that, but I told him that I'm going to talk about this. He said, no, if he's called here, he will come and talk about it. I know who the colleague is. I'm not going to say it in public. He will perhaps, if you want to divulge that, he will. That's why I'm saying there are players within the media houses that are part of. So shortly after that, I received a message from the very same colleague of Mzilikazi. He sent me a question about the same incident. I gave him a full explanation as I did here to Bran Mkhwanazi. A full explanation. A logic journalist would have understood and said, okay, well, this is just a malicious thing, and don't publish that. But that finds itself to the newspaper on a Sunday. Commissioners, it is fair. That's why I like investigative journalists. I think they're credible because they investigate first before they talk. I like the ones on TV behind cameras because they give it as is. The others that will just get information from others and write it becomes question marks, which what happened to this one.
And which Sunday publication was that?
I know the name of the journalist. I cannot remember exactly the Sunday, the paper. I don't want to, I might end up being sued if I mention the wrong name here. But I know the name of the journalist, so I can give you the name of the journalist.
You said you are not divulging it.
Yeah, I'll give you the name of the journalist, you'll write, and you'll see the trend throughout, up to now. It's the same journalist that is part of the squad. Well, there are others that are linked with him, but he's the main one. So the story goes out, commissioners, to the newspaper. It's an allegation that was made by Mkhwanazi that someone wants to open a case against me. Now, in the newspaper is my full picture there, and the big heading, allegations against Cele-Mkhwanazi defeating, and they write a story of what happened. They, of course, write my response. So, but the problem is, it is my face there, not the complainant. It's my face that is there. The heading creates question marks about my integrity as a person, as a senior officer in the province. They put my full response on the paper. So a person who reads the paper will get to understand the context of this heading and the story. They will be fine with it. But for you to get into a newspaper, must subscribe, must pay money. Some of us don't necessarily subscribe to papers. But there is social media that is free. Now, on the social media, they take the heading because you are limited on what you write in there. They take the heading of allegations that Cele-Mkhwanazi is accused of defeating end of justice against a drug dealer at Kalagabusha. And that goes into their media account, social media account. And that which spreads like wildfire because people access it easy. Remember, they don't have a privilege of reading the full report that is on the paper. They are just taking it from this headline. And the picture is painted. Mkwanazi is a bad person. And they're achieving what they want. So I took it as a pressure for me to back off from the case that I was going to preside over, of Gerald Khan. How do I prove that? Is because Gerald Khan's lawyers, they even wrote to me on emails and said, there's these things about you on the media, so we are in doubt of your independence in dealing with Khan. They wrote to me that, and that's what they said on email. So that's when I deducted that, oh, the pressure was for me to back off on this disciplinary case. So what Kumalo told me that they were wanting him to resign because they wanted him to back off on the case. So why will they go all out to try and get us to back off on the case against Gerald Khan? I'm an independent person. Yes, I know Gerald Kumalo is my colleague, but I'm not going to go and go with what Kumalo perhaps might want to do in dealing with Khan. Mine is to follow the policy and the law. So we arrive in
you simply responded to the journalist's questions, and you did not engage the journalist on what Mr. Africa had said, which was that this journalist was saying they were under pressure to publish the story. You did not engage the journalist on that.
No, I didn't. I didn't engage the journalist, Commissioner. I only gave a full response on the question he asked me. Gave a full response. He took that response as is to the paper. But the problem is, my photo and everything is there. So the damage is going to be there either way. Whether I'm responding, but my face is already on the paper. And on the social media account, That short summary of it, it's the one that is trending, not the full response that I provided. It's not there on social media. So, which means they achieved what they wanted, paying me a bad person. And you can Google, you'll find me protecting criminals, drug dealers of Kalagabusha. It's there.
And
which
those captions usually attract me to stories, but when I scroll down, I can't read because it requires that I be a subscriber.
Subscribe.
Which most of the time I'm not.
The same as me, Commissioner, majority of the people in the country, they don't necessarily subscribe to papers, but they rely on that first caption and makes a story. Maybe 2 days later, they put a full story when it's old. Then you can read it without having to pay. But it's all news by then. So, and I could see that the whole idea was just, let's tarnish this man's image. And that's all. So that's what they did. They created the doubt. So fast forward, the disciplinary case comes, and I believe I was fair to Gerald Khan. Despite the allegations that came from IPID, I still protected his rights. I allowed him to bring his lawyers in there. I sat and I listened to the evidence that was provided. The very same Gerald Kumalo that was asked to resign was representing the employer. Gerald Khan had his legal team, and there were witnesses that were brought to come and testify. I could not find a single wrong that Gerald Khan has done. In actual fact, I even said there in my own words that the SAPS owes Gerald Khan for what he did, because Gerald Khan stopped police officers that came to collect drugs under the person who was the head of traffic Gauteng. They came to collect a consignment of drugs from the truck that arrived in Germiston, and they wanted to get drugs from there. And the people that are owning the truck company, they said, no, you're not going to take these drugs, search this truck from here, follow it to the final destination, which is in Eratin, which is a West Rand. So 2 police officers, 1 Johannesburg traffic, and 1 captain from Zongezizwe, they followed the truck until it arrived at Eratin, and they were accompanied by 3 members from Pretoria who traveled all the way there. 1 from organized crime, 2 from the dog unit. And they all said they were coming to search the truck. And they actually offloaded the consignment from the truck, which was drugs, in bags. They took this thing and they loaded it in a police car. Luckily, the lady that worked in that company contacted 10111. 10111 called Boysen police station. Boysen vehicle came there, and then there was a conflict between the police when they discovered that these policemen who say they're running these operations, they're already removing this consignment from the truck. They're loading it in a police park. So these policemen asked, but this is a crime scene. Why are you taking this thing from here to here? If you're saying it's drugs, we have not even opened the bags. How do you know? If it is drugs indeed, why do you load them in the park? And this one said, no, we're taking them to Zongezizwe. And this one said, but this is Boysen area. Why do you take this thing to Zongezizwe? It's found here. It's a crime scene. Get LCRC and everyone to deal with it. Then there was a conflict between police at the time, and that police member who was present there took the police vehicle, and he blocked this police car that was already loaded with drugs. He blocked it so that it doesn't move. And that's what allowed the other police officers to phone General Khan and say, there are members that claim to be from crime intelligence, they come and intervene. So he traveled all the way, he arrived almost 2 hours later. And he put a stop from these drugs to be stolen. He phoned DPCI, he phoned the local provincial crime intelligence. They came and took over the scene and he left. But it was then strange as to how do you blame Khan for that? Because he stopped the people that wanted to steal drugs. He stopped it. So he was in a good space at the time, so I couldn't fault him. But that, Commissioners, doesn't take away the fact that Mkhwanazi says Khan will brief me about secret information that I discussed in the presentation. So while I'm having this belief that Khan has got to do with leaking of the information in there, perhaps according to Mkhwanazi, but on the disciplinary part where Khan was accused of drugs, he did not do anything wrong. So if I had that bad intention against Khan, I would have dismissed him. But I did not, because I gave him fair disciplinary hearing, of which you can ask him today, he will tell you, no, I treated him fair. Commissioners, that was the last time the media started writing about me. That made me confirm that, oh, my being in the media so bad, it was because of the anticipation that this is what I was going to do. And in actual fact, after that, I even received a message from Honorable Adams in Parliament who said, no, you good cop, you did well. Which I find strange. But nonetheless, we proceed with the presentation, Commissioner. I don't want to bore you with anything. I'm just reflecting to some things that we're dealing with as we are trying to bring you closer to why we are putting these names together and the picture that we're trying to paint.
General, before you move on, I think Commissioner Khumalo would like to pose a question to you.
Thank you, Bheki Cele. General, for my benefit, in paragraph 197 of your statement, because MK17 is a communication between you and Mr. Mkwanazi starting from the 30th of September to the 2nd of October, 2024. I'm just trying to establish when that conversation with Mr. Nkabinde happened and what was the nature of the conversation.
Okay, Commissioners, I might have placed this paragraph like this, but Brown contacts me and he tells me about him with the minister and all that. Immediately, that day, I called Nkabinde because I wanted to establish. This is last in September, somewhere about October. That's when I phoned Nkabinde to ask, but who is this gentleman? And Nkabinde said, no, Brown is a friend of the minister, but is not employed in the department.
If the people sworn to fight crime are shielding syndicates, who protects us? This isn't just about one minister, it's about a system that rewards silence and punishes truth. Mkwanazi spoke out. Now it's our turn. If this story hit home, help us hit harder. Subscribe to Skybridge for more investigations that demand answers. Drop a comment, tap super thanks to fuel the next expose. Want to go deeper? Join the channel for just 14 rands per month. Cancel anytime. Your support powers the journalism others won't touch. This isn't just content, it's a call to action. Thanks for watching. I'll catch you on my next upload. Bye.